The last major category of pixel manipulation are the merge nodes. Now we've already encountered certain merges like over and key mix, but as we've seen, there's tons of other useful merge modes in the merge node. Right now, I have the little alien set to use the over operation, but the merges in particular that I wanted to show you are the ones that don't require a mat or an alpha channel at all. The simple mathematical operations like multiply. So if we were to take the alien here, well, let's start with add. If we were to take the alien and add him to the background, we would get a result where the alien's image just adds on. It's not using the mat at all for this operation. And this can be really useful for things like laser beams or other glowy additive type of effects. If you need a less bright effect, you can use screen, which does that in a negative space and then multiplies the two together and then inverts it again. So that's kind of useful if you need a less bright but still additive effect. Nuke has another one called hypotenuse, which creates a subdued additive effect. It does this as the square of the hypotenuse. If you need to multiply the image, there's an operation for that as well. So I'm just blanking out the background here to make it all white. And we're going to multiply the image by the background instead. So now you can see it's only darkening where he has lines and multiplying him against the background. Another very useful operation is min and max. These can be used to combine mats together or sometimes even to composite. So here's max. It's taking the brighter of the two images, so that one and that image, and it's taking the brightest pixel and passing it through. So this is very useful for combining mats together. Min will take the darkest of the two. And this is also useful at times for doing very quick masking or exclusions or combinations of mats. And we'll see a little bit more of that later as we get into matte extractions. So those are the bulk of the modes that don't really require mats. There's a few others like hard light, soft light, color burn, color dodge, and they're all useful for their own purposes. I don't tend to use them much myself, but maybe you'll find use for some of these other matless modes. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the other modes that you might have wondered about but haven't perhaps experimented with. There's several very useful modes like out and in. So let's look at what they do. Out will put A outside of the mat of B. In this case, the mat of the temple is solid where the temple is, but transparent where it's the sky. So if we put the alien outside that mat, you can see this is the result that we get. So we're cutting out the A input by the B by B's mat. In would do exactly the opposite. It would put the alien inside the mat of the background. And you can see it combines the mats as well. We're looking at the alpha right now. For most merge modes, Nuke has an equivalent that's the logical reverse, which is to say that the A and B inputs are reversed. This is really useful in cases where you want the B pipe to flow through with a certain logic. So for example, in this case, I'm putting the UFO A inside the alpha of B, which is the temple. But let's say that when I disable this node, I wanted the same image to flow through. The equivalent in that case is called mask. And if we reverse these inputs, you'll see I get the same output, but when I disable the node, the UFO is no longer being cut off by the alpha channel of the temple. Similarly, in the case of out, where I put A outside of the temple, let's scoot him up a little bit more so we can see him. If I wanted to reverse the pipes but still have the same logic, so when I disabled this operation, the alien were still visible, I would use the stencil mode. So let me reverse the inputs here, get the same result, but when I disable this node, A is no longer stenciling B. So that's the basics of matless merge nodes and some of the specifics of how the merge mode can be used with mats to clean up your logic. Never forget that the B pipe, the background, is what flows through the composite when it's disabled. So in this case, hitting D to disable the node is no longer stenciling the alien with the background.